forgot to ask Sam to record on his end too. Well, welcome everyone to another episode of Plate Stack Chat, but actually it is the first ever live episode of Plate Stack Chat. Who knows what could go wrong? But I am Jason, joined by Sam and Tom. Guys, how are you? How do you feel about doing this live?
I'm feeling excited. I'm feeling particularly live right now.
Good.
Yeah, I mean, live. I feel it's a milestone. I don't know how many episodes we've recorded separately, and then suddenly when you're like, we're going live, I'm like, holy cow! I might forget how to talk or something.
Yeah, I don't know if you can see on my screen in the top corner. I can see like an eye, and then it's got somebody watching. Somebody dropped off, so it's not gonna.
That must be a host thing, because I assume thousands are tuning in.
Yeah. All of our thousands of subscribers, I'd imagine, are watching right now.
I imagine too. So as this is the first, we say the first of many future live shows, we hope. We're just trialing some new software. So if anything doesn't look silky smooth, it's because it's just a little test, isn't it? We're just trying out a new thing. But one of the wonderful things about doing a kind of a live show, doing it more in the moment, is we can report on things like the most up-to-date news coming out of CrossFit. So guys, any guesses what at least was sent to me by multiple people this week with regards to CrossFit news?
I've no idea, Jace. Is it got anything to do with, I don't know, some form of, monster? What's that coming over? I did a stream deck. What's that coming over the hill? Is it a monster? Is it a monster?
So I absolutely thought, I'm assuming the reason everybody sent me this is because they thought I would get angry about it. But it was like a real kind of double-edged thing, because I was like, yes, on the one hand, I don't like this. But on the other hand, how great is it that we've just decided to record a live show? And this is the first bit of news we get to report on. Like, the timing couldn't be any better. So Monster Energy have signed a roster of the biggest names in the sport. So like I moaned about Monster being at the games last year, and they're not going anywhere. If anything, they will be more prominent than ever before. Tom wanted to make sure I read the article and I didn't form my opinions solely based off of the title. But I have read the article. I guess I would ask first, do you guys have any opinions on Monster being, so closely linked to CrossFit now?
I think I do, and I think one of the things this news breaks really kind of like, it breaks on social media, and so people are very quick to like launch their opinions, and Morning Chalk Up are always like, please read the article before launching into the comments if you must. And that's, I mean, initially that's what I was like, make sure you read it, because it isn't your typical kind of like, we expect this many posts on social media a month for however much we're paying your athletes. It sounds like it's more about they want to be in with the biggest and best in the sport to try and understand how Monster can better serve the sport and the community at large, which I think is great for a big brand to want to be able to do that. What isn't in the article is the link. It is what a lot of people are like, Glassman was always against like Coca-Cola and Big Sugar, and the details of that aren't in that article. In that it's not about the health concerns around around kind of fizzy drinks. There's a lot more complicated stuff in it around legal challenges and stuff that actually aren't around the drinks that are in the cans. It's more about kind of stuff that was going on in the courtrooms that I'm probably going to do a disservice to. But I think A lot of people are so quick to jump into the comments being like, how can fizzy drinks sponsor CrossFit? But and getting outraged. But there's a lot more complicated stuff to it than that. That's my thoughts. I think it's great. I think big brands getting involved in the sport are great. I think this isn't straightforward because of who the brand is.
Yeah, I think that that's interesting, isn't it? Because also when you read the article, it almost kind of makes the defense about the sugar side of things, because it's sort of saying, hey, it's not even your normal monster. Like, they're going to be more organic and more kind of, and it's like, yeah, okay, that is one thing, and that maybe answers the question for the people that are like, well, it's CrossFit's anti-sugar. Why are you having all of this? But as you said, it's actually what like Coke and Pepsi were doing behind the scenes, particularly in America, lobbying, trying to basically get it that they would have a part in being able to say who and who couldn't be a trainer, and therefore your L1 didn't mean anything, because unless you had other certificates that they could control, it would have been and there was a huge fight put up against this, and we don't kind of know exactly what the outcome of that was now. And I think that's where people are like, there was a fight to stop these people really damaging what CrossFit could do, and maybe we won that fight, who really knows? And then anyway, they've been welcomed in to come and do things. My other little thought, like sidestep or that, because I think it's also good that money comes into the sport to help it grow. Somebody said that to me. They were like, it is good because it's going to help the athletes. They can be like, more focused on being athletes. But even when you read the article, even though they're saying like, oh, we're looking for people that are, have interesting stories and compelling stories behind them, that not only live and breathe the ethos of what they're doing, but then they put it into their lives, kind of thing. And it's like, yeah, you've picked Justin Medeiros, Tia Claire Toomey, Nora, you just grabbed the biggest names. So it's not like, if you'd said, oh, we went to Wodapalooza and, Jorge Fernandez, yeah, he finished like 30th, but he was a real fun guy and we're going to sponsor him. And now for him, he can be like, oh, I could go full-time athlete. That would change things. But you've picked people who are already successful enough to be full-time athletes, have the big sponsors, and then you said, let's just throw some more money at them and it will get our name out there front and center. And I mean, yeah, they're not going to ask for Instagram posts, but these are the images that go up on the article, like Justin dancing at the Monster Energy booth. So I don't know.
Yeah.
I don't know.
You make a really good point, and it's something. And Sam, I'm going to throw it over to you in a second. But exactly what you said, Jason. Around we want to elevate the sport, and I think that's a phrase that's used, is to elevate it for all. And so I thought about the competitive athlete, and I'm thinking of like an S curve. And what I mean by that is that at the bottom of the S, you've got the mass majority, those that maybe get to quarterfinals, getting to semifinals, but getting to the games is never really going to be on the cards, just either through their athletic ability or whatever. Then you've got the vertical part of the S, which is those that could make it to the games if they were able to go full time, if they could focus on their training, on their recovery, not worry about making rent because they've got to do PT or whatever else alongside it. And then at the top of the S, which is flat again, you've got the Tia Claire Toomeys, you've got the seasoned seasoned games athletes who are already established, already professional. And that's not to dissuade and to disparage like the effort that they've gone through to get there, but the biggest effect they could have would be investing in those that are on the vertical part of the S curve, because that giving them some money to allow them completely focused on your training. Let's elevate the sport. It's hard to elevate those already at the top.
Yeah. Good
but
point.
anyway, sorry, Sam. I did what
That's
I did
all right.
say I'd throw it to you.
I'm going to apologise to the morning chalk up. Jace, can you scroll down a bit to the bottom of this picture? There, stop, up, stop.
Oh,
There's
the photo credit.
Mistake. There's a spelling mistake. It's Monster Energy. That was my first thought. Sorry, morning chalk up. But I think that so my background before this was didn't know that came up on this in this stream, by the way. I guess love your tea. Well, lovely. Thanks, Soph. Anyway, I think my background is been in extreme sports. I used to run a skate park. We used to run skate, scooter, and BMX jams, and Monster Energy would come along. Now, what happens at said things, and it's the same as what happens. Well, actually, it doesn't happen as much at CrossFit stuff, but Red Bull events, there are buckets of Red Bull around, and you can just go there and you can take whatever you want. At extreme sports events, there are buckets of Monster Energy just lying around, and you can take whatever you want. Now, personally, I think that's poor, and I think that is a bad thing. The reason for why, I had 13 cans of Monster in one day when I was at a skate jam. Yeah, I was lying under. I was laying on them under my desk. I'm not even joking. My friend Matt Rose will vouch. He did the same. As well as various other what are now high level BMXers who are all now like eating clean and drinking clean and all that stuff. But they yeah, it gets dished out, right? And that's why. Whoa.
Sorry, I'm just
why I
playing
think
around.
this is thanks, mate. That's why I think this is a bad thing, because sugar is the big deal, right? I'm a big guy. The literal reason is I eat too much sugar. It's quite simple. It's literally that simple. I have, I'm just, and I think it's an encouragement, because if I say I walked into the local store, right? I'm driving. I do a lot of driving. I drive into a petrol station, and I go there and I think, oh, I'll get a Monster Ultra because that's seemingly okay for me. There's no sugar and blah 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 blah. That sort of stuff. That's okay. Oh, they don't have any of that. Well, what can I get instead? Oh, well, Monster must be good. So there are all these other types of Monster you can get, which if I were unawares, then I would just get whatever. And that's where I'm not hating on anybody for doing what they can to get through, get to the next level of where they want to be. I mean, Tia Claire Toomey and Justin Medeiros don't need Monster Energy as a sponsor. They've made it. They could have anybody as a sponsor. Monster are probably just paying them the most money at this point. But as you say, Tom, that S curve, I think if we were starting our S curve a little lower and we were starting to bring in, I know Mal O'Brien, arguably sort of on her way up, but she's with Matt Fraser. She's training with those guys. She's at the top. Who was the other? Was it Daniel Brandon?
Daniel Brandon and Noah Olsen.
Yeah.
They're all big names. And I 100% agree with you on like the sugar side of things, because I was actually thinking, while it's true, yeah, you can get all the zero sugar, low sugar, whatever. For your average person, they're just going to see, oh, Tia, was wearing a Monster t-shirt, or Justin was, and I'm there. Oh, look, there's Monster. And they're not reading the can, they're just grabbing one. My other thought, again, even with all these like high energy drinks and stuff, is if you start getting that like dependency, or that's what you need to get through the WOD, maybe you need to think about your sleep. Maybe you need to think about your nutrition. There are bigger, like if it's, oh, I need to have a can every time I'm going to the gym. I mean, I don't know. Maybe that is damaging the health side.
But if caffeine's what you're after, Monster isn't. I can almost guarantee that the Monster Energy drink that they will be having won't be some mega high caffeine. Like I think the most caffeine you'll get in a can is Nocco. That side is a can of Nocco.
The screen's not mirrored. Yeah, you got to remember that.
Yeah, so that if you want a caffeine hit, if you want a pre-workout, go take a pre-workout, right? If we're talking just casual, I don't know, at least Tia Toomey and that won't have to have water in their Monster cans. Do you know what I mean?
maybe that's all they will have. Who knows? And anyway, I just thought, what a great story to start.
Speaking of, I'm gonna take us into the next one.
Before you do that, because I want to say one more thing on this, because I think there's always a lot of outrage. There's a lot of outrage. There's a lot of things. Most things called outrage, I think, within the CrossFit community.
Yeah.
We have gone through a big change in 2020 with like new leadership coming into CrossFit HQ, but the new leadership has come into CrossFit HQ with an intent to grow the brand and to grow the sport, to grow the methodology. And that takes a different style of leadership to what we had under Glassman, and which was kind of entrepreneurial. It was changing the status quo. It was, I think I used a phrase earlier in chatting to someone on Instagram around like guerrilla fitness. It was kind of challenging how things were normally done. Now, CrossFit now is, whilst it's still very niche, it's a lot more established. And to grow beyond where it currently is, it's going to require partnerships with like mainstream brands, Monster being one of them, but we're undoubtedly going to see other partnerships come along. And inherently, I think some people will feel really triggered by that, especially on the delights of social media, because they're bought into their own and romanticism of guerrilla fitness, of being kind of niche and being subculture, and that dramatically kind of conflicts with the idea of becoming like paired with mainstream brands and things like that. So we're gonna be talking about things, other articles where it'll be a different brand, the same type of outrage, a different decision, same type of outrage. I think because of the kind of the nature of CrossFit and its growth.
Nice.
I agree.
Now, I know there's a bit of
Sorry
news
about that.
that has come out that I haven't seen.
I'm really looking forward to your reaction to this. Speaking of being irresponsible, apparently someone last night gave the work experience kid the login details to CrossFit.com or the Instagram page. Because Tom, so Tom's managed to get hold of this, which I'm super stoked about. Because I think like within an hour it was taken down, maybe less.
Well, you guys shared it last night, and it must have been quite late when you shared it. And I woke up at, ridiculously early this morning, and it was already gone. So I don't know how long it was up, but I don't know what it is. I just saw your conversation about it, and I was like, "Tell me what it is." I was like, "No, wait, don't tell me. Tell me on pod. Let's do this live." So
yeah. So I love. Let's see if I. So while I try and share my screen, let's see if I can do that. So the video was posted on CrossFit.com, their main Instagram profile, and it was of two women lifting a barbell together. That's not unheard of in the slightest. And the comments lit up like a Christmas tree. People being like, this probably, and I think, but it was not just the comments. The caption was like, "Give this a go," and it just didn't kind of like go down too well. So
make sure you share your audio as well, because the audio on it was pretty good too.
Yeah, so let's see if I can do this. As I say, this is our first time doing this, so I need to see whether I can make it so I kind of share the screen. But it's just really interesting because it is the type of thing that is really share worthy on Instagram. But there's just a little bit of a question as to like whether it was like the right thing to share in this situation. So bear with me a second.
I am bearing with.
Oh
yeah.
So
failing that, I'm gonna just send it to Jason and he can do it.
No.
Right, that's there, and then I am going to share that. And this should be coming through now. No.
So bottom of the screen. Bottom of the screen, you've got share.
Yeah. So
you might need to put it on the screen, Jace.
Any look?
I don't have anything that I can share. There's nothing come up.
All right. Come back to me in a second then.
All right, let's fill. Oh, well, what we could say is if you're listening to this as a podcast on Thursday morning, so we've shifted from Tuesday release to Thursday release so that we can do the live show on a Wednesday night and then we can put it up Thursday morning. And we have some pre-recorded episodes that are still going to go up on Thursday morning in between before we kind of get our rhythm of really running this. So if you've come particularly from CrossFit Glasgow, because Ian and Gav told you they'd stayed on for 6 hours, so they must have recorded more than one episode. Then right, Tom has now disappeared.
That's all right.
That's right. There is another episode with them. It's recorded. It's in the bag. I would say, that will be up next Thursday. It will definitely up. It will be up before the Open. That's what I'm going to say. And then we'll see what happens with live episodes and other things that we're doing between now and then. We've lost Tom. This is, if you are listening to this as a podcast Thursday morning and you haven't seen the chaos, this is the beauty. It'll be on YouTube. Go to our YouTube and you can watch it. See us panic when Tom disappears.
Yeah, I'm not sure even how we even getting back. Like, but that's live shows, everyone.
So the other thing we are going to
Go
talk
on.
about, I guess. Oh, Tom's back. Tom's back. Let me add.
Are you losing your hair rapidly, Jason?
Hey, one of us has to keep the hair for the pod.
Oh, shots fired!
Wow.
Absolutely,
Yeah, shots
absolutely.
fired. What is this? I chose to shape my head, and that's the story I'm sticking to.
Yeah.
If you are listening to this as a podcast in your car or wherever, please don't watch it as you're going along because you will crash. But we will post some of the videos. We'll try and get some of the videos through our social media. We're going to try and post them as shorts as well on our YouTube channel. And so we're going to try and involve it in that way. So if you're feeling like you're a bit disconnected through the audio part of it, then you will we'll try and loop you in other ways, and we will try and get in some we'll try and sort of incorporate the more of an audio element to it. But we're trying out some new stuff, just bear with us, love us, and hopefully you'll join in.
All right, so now hopefully we are sharing screen. So one thing I do pride myself on is being pretty good at recognizing CrossFit Games athletes. So when I saw this post come up, there we go, Jason, well done. So it was Valve Overall, and I was like, this is a repost for sure. They've not. It looked a relatively like it wasn't done like at CrossFit HQ or for Cross. Like, oh, we really need to create some bespoke media. Let's do this. So this is the video. So I just went to her, and people can find that. They can get a Valve Overall's Instagram account, and it's on her kind of feed as well. So Jason, this is something for you to, I was going to say you could maybe try it with Rob Bird, but as you'll probably discover, you guys probably aren't the perfect match.
Okay. All right, so for anyone
Tom,
listening,
can you share the sound? Can you share the sound, Tom? There's a little tick box that you put on.
So basically,
there we go.
They do a clean. One catches it high, and one catches it in almost like a snatch, and then they swap positions, and then they both take it up and do a double split jerk. Oh, well, with one barbell, basically. They're holding two people holding one barbell. They clean it. One catches it pretty much in a snatch. One catches it in a power, and then Rob and I could not do this.
There's a thruster, and then
and some celebrations. Wow.
If that type of Instagram content is something that you enjoy, another person worth following is, I think, is his name like Toro Kitty, or it's kind of like a European weightlifter, and he does some crazy stuff like that. And I'm pretty sure that's where they've got it from as well.
Yeah.
I'm just gonna say, Jace, that I'm probably not gonna hire you for any sort of audio description. If I've got a film or something.
I'm still in shock. I mean, I'm the person that I think when we had Mike Catris on and we were talking about team events, and I was like, I'm not sure about this 2 people deadlifting a bar. It seems ridiculous to me. So the idea of doing an entire sort of barbell complex with 2 people, not even synchro, like alternating movements, basically. Probably not the best idea. Speaking of CrossFit, speaking of Mike Catris, there we go. What an in. Road to the games, right? That's what we had Mike on last time, just before the games, as they were heading off as part of a team. And hey, maybe again this year. So we now have the road to the games pretty much laid out before us. Is that would that be right to say, Tom?
Indeed.
I am going to share my screen once again.
The way to the games, like I mean, this is the way to. Not all of the events are done yet, but this is looking good, nevertheless.
Yeah. So, how can I get to the games? How could one much more fitter than I get to the games? This is our season, right? So, I've put up the individual post from CrossFit just because I figure that's the easiest one to talk about, and then maybe we can talk about the teams and the teens and masters and that. So, Tom, do you want to take us through? Well, we recently did last week, actually, wasn't it, our podcast about the Open. So we've spoken a lot about the Open as a community event, that it's just fun for all the community and we all can get involved. For some in the community, it's a little bit more than just a fun event. It is the first step. So where do we go from there?
What in terms of the beyond the Open? So yeah, we're actually looking at a structure that's very similar to last year. Now, for some people, recognizing that we were still in lockdown for the Open last year, it might have been like, you know what, I didn't even pay attention. So what we've actually seen this year, like we did last year, we've got only 3 weeks of the Open. So that doesn't mean there's only going to be 3 workouts, but we're going to see 3 weeks of the Open, which is the stage of the CrossFit Games season that everyone can get involved in. What we're going to see at that point, though, from the 3 weeks of the Open, is that the top 10% of the Open will progress to quarterfinals. I think the quarterfinals last year, if we ignore the fact that, again, we were still struggling with lockdown and stuff, is an awesome addition to the kind of the game season, because it has the potential for every affiliate potentially to have like a couple of athletes, maybe kind of, you know, double figures athletes making it to the next stage. And that's a weekend kind of online competition similar to the online age group qualified that folks might be a lot more familiar with because it's been around for a number of years. But it will kind of create a 5-week Open. But what you're going to have is you're going to have 3 weeks for everyone. Then you're going to have a long weekend for the individuals and then a long weekend for the teams. So, you know, there's still going to be that affiliate centered celebration of fitness, but just a chance to perhaps spotlight those that are slightly kind of higher up the leaderboard with more challenging workouts. So yeah, I think it's great, and I think it also means that the Open can be more accessible because they've got the second stage, the quarterfinal stage, to really turn the screws and introduce things like rope climbs and GHDs that, you know, just aren't feasible or sensible for the kind of first stage of the game season. So I think that's super exciting.
I think that was like a big obstacle last year for, particularly in the UK, a lot of people, because a lot of us were able to do the Open RX'd anyway from home or with kind of the equipment we had access to and we could get to. So it meant that quite a number of people did pass through to that next stage, but they did not have like GHDs and ropes and things at home that they could use to do the Open, to do the quarterfinals. So I imagine this year there's going to be a lot of people that could have done it last year, but because of circumstance couldn't, and they're definitely going to want to get involved. And you know, if you've had a community that have been like cheering people on for 3 weeks of the Open, and then you get an opportunity to go back to the box to cheer on the guys that are just, you know, a level up from you, and there's no one's going to make you do the workout, you can just go and cheer them on. I think it's going to be really interesting to see how, because we've never had a chance to really get behind quarterfinals. It's just that hasn't been a thing, has it? So it'll be interesting this year to see how that goes.
Yeah, I think we're going to see like big differences in, like, say, who we see progress. Like looking at definitely at the UK, it's easier to kind of say like, actually, you know, we're going to be some different names in there, I think, because, you know, of not having that same degree of kind of restriction on kind of access to gyms and stuff. So, but equally the quarterfinals, you know, there was a host of athletes that qualified in that top 10% and then didn't take up the opportunity because they just weren't able to. There was a lot of politics around who got access to a gym, who didn't. And, you know, the cuffs are off this year for now, and I think they're going to stay that way. So, you know, I think it's going to be in a really exciting quarterfinals. We are seeing the same representation moving forward to semifinals. So 60 advancing from Europe specifically, but also the same representation advancing from semifinals to the games, which, you know, I'm sure Brian Friend at least is, and many other athletes in what feel like some of the underrepresented regions probably feel like there needs to be a change. But at the same time, I'm not surprised, given everything else going on at CrossFit HQ, that they're just sticking with the current format in terms of that.
Yeah.
What is interesting? So, what is interesting is they still have the last chance qualifier, which was kind of a catch-all for people that was still struggling and stuff.
You're getting mixed up there, Sam. The last chance qualifier was always in there. And in a sense, what it does is it just recognized that some regions probably should have more athletes at the games. So you can probably guess that the last chance qualifier is going to qualify through an athlete from Europe, maybe Oceania. It's not going to be a route to the games for someone, say, from South America, Asia, or Africa. And, you know, I'm happy to be proved wrong there, but really that's what that last chance qualifier is it's trying to give like get some additional places. So that's what the last chance qualifier, I think, was there for, was to give a second bite of the cherry. What I think you're thinking of is that when all the semi-finals were going online last year, they started creating this kind of like final semi. They were going to add like an extra semi-final at the end, which they were going to throw all the kind of like athletes that couldn't make it to their virtual semi-finals.
Okay, so how does just to break that down? So how is this one going to work? Because that's
so
as you're dumb as you the village idiot as the European emperor once said.
Tom, do you want me to share your graph, by the way, that you've
not yet.
Is that for later?
The timing?
Okay.
Yeah. So
it's a graph.
I'm not surprised you're confused, because they had to make so many changes during the 2021 season.
Yeah.
Because at one point, semi-finals started expecting to be in person, then they gradually had to go virtual. And I think once they all went virtual and they found homes for kind of people like Tia Claire Toomey and stuff, they were like, well, we don't need the extra semi-final at the end. We'll just kind of do it as is. So how the last chance qualifier works now is that for regions where 5 athletes qualify for the game, so that's North America and Europe, I think it's 6th, 7th, and 8th, or at least 6th and 7th qualify for the last chance qualifier. In Oceania, where the top 3 qualify for the games, then I think it's 4th and 5th. And then I guess in South America, where 2 qualify,
3rd and 4th.
And then Africa, maybe 2nd and 3rd. So what you end up with is you'll end up, and it's and again this year it's virtual. They're not taking it to Vegas, unfortunately.
No.
I think that would be really cool. High Rocks got in there first, so it gives a chance for those bubble athletes to kind of make their way to the games. And we saw people like Lucy Campbell do super well in the semi-finals and get through to that last chance qualifier. So that's really exciting. And hopefully if Lucy doesn't qualify outright as a top 5 in Europe, that she's got a really good chance in the last chance qualifier as well. But it's a last chance saloon, right? It's you don't know what's going to happen. You're having to do that on top of semi-finals, on top of quarterfinals. You're going to have to training.
Well, I think if Lucy doesn't qualify in the top 10, I will deep fry gherkin and eat it. That's a pickle to all you people that are living in America.
I want you to get like a desktop fryer so you can do it on.
That's it.
I'll take Snapchat Live.
As a health and safety manager, I feel like that's probably a bad idea, but I'll try it anyway.
An air fryer? What about an air fryer?
Air fryer. That's it. I'll deep.
If you go to our Patreon link, we'll make sure we put some of that into buying Sam an air fryer.
An air fryer. I suppose another thing with the last chance though is obviously, one, it means that if somebody just was. If somebody was like feeling ill or something the week that they had their semi-final, and it's like a name that we would expect 100% to have qualified, and just clearly something went wrong, that is also the way they could then make it anyway, which would be a shame, right, if that was the way, because as you said, like it would be a shame if 6 people from that North American semi-final went through and still only 3 from Australia, kind of thing. So ideally, we want to see those more competitive regions that have less spots really step up and be like, hey, you should be giving us more spots. We're taking those 2 from the last chance qualifier. But it's then also difficult for them to, that's what, like 5-6 weeks later from like the first semi-finals. So if you do make it, that's sort of like at least 5 weeks of training that the other people have had that you haven't. So
Brian Friend raised this on the Savan podcast actually about the vast difference between those that qualify for semi-finals in week 1, which is like the 21st and 22nd of May, versus those that qualify through last chance qualifiers, which is the 1st through 3rd of July. And that was actually the reason why I created the graphic that, Jason, if you want to share it, because I haven't yet seen all the events and stuff laid out on a calendar. So you can really start to see like how busy the season is. So, I mean, the Open and the qualifiers and the quarterfinals, right? That's your March and April sorted. But then we really, in the second half of May, we really jump right into semi-finals. So all athletes who qualify for semi-finals have got 1, 2, 3, for 5 weeks, best part of 6 weeks from quarterfinals before they kind of go into semis. But then what we can kind of see is that because semifinals is spread over 6 weeks, and again, Brian was someone who highlighted this on Savan podcast, spreading them over that amount of time and then giving a 3-week gap until the last chance qualifier means that some athletes are going to have a hell of a lot less time to ramp up for the games than those that, say, qualify at the Lowlands or Torreon in mid-May, can then not sit back, but they can then sit down with their coach and be like, we've got 2.5 months now. How can we kind of improve our weaknesses? Whereas if you're going through the, strength in depth, or more, if you do strength in depth and then you do last chance qualifier, well, you're pretty much going to hopefully still be able to get a hotel at the games.
Well, I mean, that's another thing, isn't it? If you think like those that are maybe having less spots, and so one of them gets that, they're generally also from places that maybe have more issues with getting visas and things like that to get to the game. So it would be a real shame again if they get that spot and then they can't make it there because they didn't have enough time because you're not going to start that. Not even you're not going to start if you're from certain countries, like you can't go and say I'm requesting a visa because there's a chance I might get invited to this event. You'd need to go and say, here's my invitation, I'm going to compete in this event, I need documents to go to that country. So like there's a whole load of paperwork that could be needed, and you're again cutting down the amount of time these people have to get that in order. I mean, if it was like Krennikov, he's been starting this process for like 2 years ago. So he's kind of, that's different because he can show that, look, I've been invited the last X number of years. So it makes sense. But if it was like a new games athlete, they've qualified maybe again from Russia, somewhere like that. How long is it going to take them to process all of that? And that 6 weeks, I think for like, maybe for some of us, we're kind of thinking, yeah, but they're all like top athletes. But how much we've heard them talk about knowing when to peak in the season, and the fact that like they're not trying to peak for the Open, they're not really trying to peak for the quarterfinals or semi-fight. Like it's this kind of wave they're riding until the games. And you think like 6 weeks, if you were going to do like a squat cycle, it would probably be 6 weeks, right? And then you do week 1, you test, you do a 6-week cycle, and then test again after 6 weeks. So we know that that's a significant amount of time for training on a weakness. Like if you're really, if you've got the goal of you're going to the games and you need to drill down on this thing, I mean, you can make a lot of progress.
But does that not just amplify the need to peak, maybe to peak more? So for example, we're saying like you don't want to peak for the Open, you want to just, it's about expending, it's about kind of saving the energy, isn't it? You don't want to peak for the Open. You don't want to win the Open and be like absolutely blasted after that, so that you then, your quarterfinals are busted or whatever. But you want to, I guess they want them to perform well everywhere. Maybe they don't have to do as well as they need to in the Open because they know that generally speaking they're going to be the 60 in the top 60 in North America, or the top 30 or the top 60 in Europe, or the top 120 in North America, right? So you would imagine that, wouldn't you? So Emma McQuaid, for example, will be in the top 60 Europeans in the Open, right?
Anyone that genuinely thinks they could make it to the games should not be concerned about the Open, because they will definitely rank high enough to go to quarterfinals. Quarterfinals, they need to make sure they do well because they can't really slip up there. And then obviously semifinals, we've seen how tight the races at semifinals have been for those positions. And so
semifinals, just to clarify, so this is not my area of expertise, but do you get allocated a semifinal, or can you go wherever you want?
No, so it's region based, and then it's based on Tom probably knows better than me, he's probably read the rule book, but it's based on your performance, and then it's geographic location. Last year they also introduced like preference, like you could say, oh, like 1, 2, 3, I wanted to go to this one, or this one. They haven't put that in the rule book this time, so it will be kind of like maybe number 1 goes here, number 2 goes there, number 3 goes here within your region. So like in Europe, we've got 2. So the different European athletes could be sent to one of the 2.
Yeah.
And I don't know how much say they have in that. I don't know how much thinking about travel and restrictions and which countries maybe are going to be easier for people to get into will come into play. There seems to be quite a number of things that perhaps not everyone has thought about by the looks of things.
Yeah, and I think it will be seeding, you know, and that could be interesting, depending on how things progress through the season in terms of, say, travel restrictions. You know, we've seen that Norway have had to kind of postpone their event that was due to be this early part of the year. Hopefully come Lowlands, although Lowlands is the first one in May. But I really hope everything works out fine. And our UK athletes don't have to worry about traveling too much if they do get allocated or elect to go into strength in depth, which might be nice just to quickly get excited about. Before we do that, shout out to Kat, who's just popped up on the comments of Clydesdale and Friends.
Whose box is opening very, very soon.
Imminently, some would say.
Catalyst Fitness, home of CrossFit Clarity, I believe.
Woo!
Look at that. What a shout. We don't have to worry about a shout out at the end of the episode now. Tick that off the list. Yeah. Oh, let's talk about strength and depth.
Absolutely.
We've opened that can. Let's talk about it, guys. Have you all booked your hotels? Monday. It's opening Monday, according to the comments. So not strength and depth. Cat's CrossFit box.
Cat's CrossFit gym, actually, Jason, because that's what you like.
Because I don't like the phrase box. I know.
No, apparently not.
I know. Right, strength in depth. So that's great news. It's, you know, obviously it was a sanctional back when they were a things. It wasn't a semi-final last year, but I mean, even if it had been, would it have been? Since then, the team have obviously been able to run SID Cardiff with the SID pairs in Cardiff. We had strength and depth origins in Bath, so we could say they've shaken off the rust and they are ready to do a big show in London at the Excel. So that is going to be very exciting.
Yes, we are.
Yeah, I'm so pleased that we're seeing a semi-final. I mean, I went to both sanctionals, both 2019 and 2020 at the Excel in London. And so with the new format now being back to semi-finals, where there's a lot less and, you know, a lot less pie to go around when it comes to that kind of formal part of the game season, as much as we're seeing kind of likes of Wadapalooza doing it outside of the formal season. Yeah, really excited to have that back in Europe, and also, back at strength in depth, but also because of it being a regional and it being European centric. We know we're going to get a load of like UK athletes on that stage and European athletes, which is going to be awesome. So I really hope we can see a lot of the community coming over from the lowlands, from France and further afield as well, because there's such strength in Europe. I've written articles saying Europe is coming, Europe is here, and they're going to be in.
What is that?
What they're going to be in? What?
They're going to be. They're going to be. I heard that noise. Did no one else hear that noise?
I heard that noise. I don't know what that noise was.
What noise was it?
I don't know. It's like maybe there's a window. Anyway,
it sounded like a race car.
It's going to be like a European kind of like melting pot. So I'm super excited to not only see European, UK athletes, but European athletes as well.
I think it's my dog. Is it like a noise?
Maybe, but it sounded like electronic.
So the little so my dog is called Fergus. He's lovely. He's a white Labrador. He doesn't he's never been to. He doesn't even know about CrossFit. I mean, I've told him all about it, obviously. But I've currently locked him in the kitchen because he went outside and rolled in a puddle of mud 2 seconds before I came on the pod tonight. So I was like, "You're an absolute knob. You can stay in the kitchen."
Yeah, that's it. I think he might have got in the washing machine and turned it
on. Well, he can jump in the freaking microwave and turn it on for all I care right now. The little.
Anyway, there we go. But I'm really excited. No doubt we're going to talk more and more about SID
I mean, I was just thinking when you were saying about how like the difference of it being a sanctional to a semi-final and the focus on like UK athletes and European athletes. I was like, oh, this is just the chalking fitness dream of being able to be there and like, oh, all my UK athletes under one roof. I can just
my pretties.
I have my hotel booked for Strength in Depth.
I have the same hotel booked.
Yeah.
I hope, to be honest, I'll be honest, boys. I hope that you don't. I guess you've both got that like late cancellation, no issue thing going on. Yeah, I see. But
Yeah.
I'm hoping. I'm gonna throw it straight out because I know you won't. Right. I'm hoping that you get a call from Ollie and Megan saying, Tom, Jason, we'd love you to be on the media team. We'd love you to run some sort of before pre-show, some pre-show, some during show, and some after show type stuff, just like you do in Chalking Fitness and Plate Stack Chat. You know, I assume
I don't need a phone
this.
call. I mean, I was literally, he could have said it to my face this morning when he was coaching.
Yeah, but it's way cooler when you get a phone call or an email, isn't it?
Yeah. Like Simon Cowell calling you, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
When you have a camera crew there, like to film it at the same time.
The other thing I'm doing, and I've not been able to look at hotels yet because the location is not confirmed, is I've been looking at how I might get to Lowlands as well.
Ooh, giggity.
That's a big ask, though. That's a big ask.
Talking of semi-finals, and anyone listening to this, or people that are listening to this that know other people. So an idea that I've got, that I'm throwing out there, is obviously Sid is the final week of semi-finals, and good chances that we're all going to be there. So definitely we're going to be able to do something before, after, during, whatever, for Plate Stack Chat. What I'd like that we're doing is obviously live shows the other weeks as well. And we're going to be talking about the events that have just happened or are just happening. If anybody is going to be at any of those events, let us know, because then we'd love to get you on before or after, so we can have somebody who was like boots on the ground at the event that can talk to us about it. I think that would be really nice.
Correspondence then.
I think we'll have correspondence. And put out there, we're more than happy to be correspondents for other people if they want people that were at Sid. So, you know, it's a mutual exchange of content. There we go.
Hold on. That sounds dodgy.
That does not sound dodgy. That only to you and your dirty mind does that sound dodgy, Tom.
Get out the gutter, boy.
No, exciting. Yeah, really, it'd be great to kind of like hear from others around the globe attending semi-finals, or even just, you know, wanting to talk about what's going on in their affiliates at the open and quarterfinal stage.
Yeah.
So reach out, let us know. We're excited to kind of share our experiences too.
And on that note, talking about semi-finals, talking about Sid, European athletes, something we haven't mentioned is obviously, you know, we've had Mike on the podcast in the past, haven't we? So we've talked about, you know, that's a team, a games-bound team, and obviously we're hoping to see them at Sid. There's another team that potentially could be assigned to Sid if they qualified.
Oh, I hadn't even thought about that. Giggity.
Because they're based out of Iceland.
Mums go to Iceland.
So,
and
she is a mum.
Does happen to be a mum.
So we heard about like Annie's sort of put together this super team that are all based in Iceland now, apparently. So, I mean, first of all, thoughts on that, Tom? You purist of the affiliate cup, thoughts on that?
Yeah, I mean, what's really interesting is they are changing the way that teams are named this year, in that now the name of the affiliate has to go first. You can have like a sub team, but like, you know, so it would be like, so I think what that means for CrossFit Aylesbury, home of the athlete program games team, it'd be like CrossFit Aylesbury the athlete program. You know, because they are trying to make sure it's a focus on the affiliates. It's definitely a super team. I saw like Brian highlight it, and it's like called it a super team. I was like, too right, call a spade a spade. Now, there's nothing wrong with that if they're all gonna like you know, train at the same place, and if they can prove that you know, they're doing that, because I'm pretty sure they all had to be living and training there for like the 13th of January, but I'm sure you just have to email HQ or email CrossFit Games HQ at least and get a waiver and it'll be fine. But
yeah, I think you have to show like a utility bill, things like that, right, to show that you've been living there, like you're actually there. I would just throw back, and also I love my little button where I can show the comments on the on the screen. That's really good. So thanks, Sophie, for enjoying the comments. What I would say is actually something Mike mentioned when he came on the podcast, and we discussed this very topic, because I think we were sort of saying, like, if Rich Froning phones someone up and says, "Hey, want to come and be on my team?" who's saying no? Who is not jumping in the car and moving, right? But one thing like Mike commented about that I thought was really interesting was this idea of dedication. Like, if you're willing to relocate there for that period of time that you need to be there, that's dedication to your team. And that's dedication at the end of the day to that affiliate, because you're going to have these great athletes training at your affiliate, maybe coaching at your affiliate, like being involved in seminars, who knows what else they could be doing there. So at the end of the day, that's a good thing for the affiliate. It's not like, oh, we're just going to go and use the name of this affiliate to get there, right? They have to be linked, tied to that box. And that could be a good thing for them. And I think we, maybe I said it, maybe Mike said it, I don't remember, but we were saying, like, it's not unheard of for an athlete to go, I want to move to this place because that's where this coach is, and I know that this coach will elevate me to the next level. And they relocate, and we commend them and say, wow, man, dedication that they were willing to move there. I mean, it's like Ellie Turner's in Canada at the moment, like freezing cold Canada from Australia. Yeah. Why? Because Michelle Letranda's there, and it's like, oh, if I'm there, I can get that coaching. And we think, wow, dedication, that's great. Well, at the end of the day, isn't it the same thing? They're just, these people are dedicated enough to the games that they want to relocate, to live there for quite a substantial period of time to justify being included as a team. Maybe it is a super team, but it's a super team within the rules. So
what I'm hoping though with it, and having done stats on Europe last year, the number of like CrossFit Reykjavik, if that's where they're based, athletes qualifying for quarterfinals is significant. And what I really hope is that, is that when you get these super teams form, that it's not at the detriment of the kind of like aspiring athletes already at the box. So that, I'd love to see somewhere like CrossFit Reykjavik being able to take another team to semifinals. And that really then speaks to kind of like, actually, this is not detracting from the amazing effort that goes in kind of like somewhere like, from what must be some awesome athletes already there. And so I think that's the case. And, I think for the sport, it's great. It's great to see, like, and it is a huge commitment. Khan Porter is regularly now posting stuff of him in Reykjavik. So, and so it'd be great to see. He's a great character, it'd be brilliant. And I think I understand, that announcement is that, we'll be able to follow that team through the season in some shape or form. Seeing Annie move to a team will be interesting. She's been predominantly, if not solely, individual for most of her kind of games career or CrossFit career so far. Whereas like Lauren Fisher is a lot more kind of established across both team and individual. So she'll bring experience there. I think I'd be intrigued to know where if that means, like, isn't her other half like Rasmus Anderson, if he's up in Reykjavik with her. So yeah, it'd be cool.
I really like the idea of that, the box kind of getting better. What I really hope it's not is like, oh, here's these 4 cool athletes that are going to go train over here, and like everyone else just kind of stay out of our way if you can, please, because that would be really good. What, as you say, what it'd be really good is if that in doing the kind of super team stuff, they're growing the sort of the level of the rest of their athletes so that they can work together. You would imagine that they're not going to be as good as Annie and Khan and Laura and those guys, but they're certainly, if you're working out next to the best of the best, you're going to be better, right? You've got to be to even keep up.
On that note, and this is a selfish plug, Shocking Fitness podcast, we just had Owen Jones, head coach and co-owner of CrossFit Aylesbury, on the podcast, and he spoke about at length about having a CrossFit Games team working, coaching and training in CrossFit Aylesbury, and how they would be working in the same class. Either that some of the athletes are coaching some of the athletes are taking part in the classes, and the synergy that created, and the inspiration, and the buzz that created. So do go and have a listen to that episode if you want to hear about an example of that in practice. I think I think, Sam, you make a really good point there, is that it's, a super team forming an affiliate is great. And I really hope that they're part of an affiliate. And I hope we see that in other places as well.
Mm.
We did it, guys.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I enjoyed this. I don't know about you, but it's nice. If you've listened just to the podcast version, don't stop doing that. Like, we really appreciate that. And we hope that the change to the live format isn't detracting from your enjoyment of just listening to the podcast, where we would maybe edit things a lot better, a lot cleaner. We're kind of now, again, especially putting this up tomorrow morning, it doesn't give us a lot of time to play around with the audio file. So hopefully you're still enjoying it. Thank you for those of you that watched live and chimed in with the comments. That's really great. That makes us very happy to know that we weren't here talking to ourselves, because it always feels like we are anyway. I mean, whenever I look at the stats and I'm like, oh, people actually listen to this, it's amazing. But seeing it in real time is a little bit surreal and off-putting. So this is something we really want to push forward with. So if you're enjoying this, or if you come back and watch it after the fact, let us know, because we've got ideas. And as we've been talking, the road to the games, it's just kind of kicking off now. It is the perfect time for us to push the boat out a little bit and get a little bit out of our comfort zone, but try something that we think could be really fun. And I think the idea of getting people on, as we always have our kind of, we didn't get anyone on as a guest this week because it wasn't fair to put them through this. But definitely we want to keep getting our guest co-hosts on and having them, especially if it's tied to the things that are going on within the community and with the events. We think this could really be, we often talk of it as like a podcast from the community for the community. And absolutely, I think this is the way to go with that. So if you want to be on, let us know. We'd love to hear from you. We've got 3 weeks of open. We've got quarterfinals. We've got semifinals, as well as all the other random topics we like to talk about. So thank you, everyone. Sam, Tom, anything you want to say before I hit the outro music?
No, I'll just echo what you said. It's great to kind of like share like this. Some people are, are pushing themselves to get to quarterfinals. We're pushing ourselves to kind of go live.
Talk
with
about those people going to quarterfinals.
Yeah, absolutely. I will say, we welcome feedback from anyone who only listens to the podcast audio. If this really disrupts that experience for you, do let us know. Any of the graphics I've spoken about, we'll be sharing on Instagram so that you can find those anyway. And if you can't find them, let us know and we'll share them with you. And I think you can hear my cat.
I'd just like to say, what date is it today? It is, what am I at? I'm so if you haven't already, I hope you boys won't. I don't even care if you mind. If you go to my Instagram page, La Roche Original, which is there if you're looking. If you're not, then it's La Roche Original. I'm raising money. It's Red January. I'm moving every day. I'm doing 50 burpees every single day. I've done 1,300 as of right now. It'll be 1,350 tomorrow. But I'm trying to raise some money for Sport in Mind. So do go Instagram, link in bio, all that stuff. Follow us on at plate.stack.chat on Instagram.
Which is becoming more active, by the way. I've actually started following people. So you might start seeing more stuff go on with the Instagram as well. It may be worth finally following it.
Jason at Jason CF Media, Tom at Chalking Fitness. If you sign up to his newsletter, you get the chance to win a free ticket to one of the High Rocks events coming up
by the end of January. By
the end of January. So get that in now.
Days.
Yeah.
If it's after the end of January, don't bother signing up.
Whoa, no, hold on. If you're going to peddle my wares, I'm going to peddle my own wares as well.
Yeah,
do sign up to the newsletter. I am trying to put all the kind of competition news in one place. And so the games timeline will be in that newsletter. It's free, doesn't cost you anything. We'll go with that.
And Sophie's just expressing her appreciation that we finally started following her on Plate Stack Chat.
running an Instagram channel is like a full-time job.
Yeah.
Mhm.
You had just said something that had triggered something in my mind. I was like, oh yes. And I was talking about the events, because obviously Tom highlights all the UK events. And yes, we're talking about semi-finals and we're talking about the opens and all that. We know there are also a lot of events going on around the UK and, you know, and other parts of the world that are not part of the main CrossFit kind of ecosystem. But if you're going to be at that event, we want to still hear about it. So let us know if you're going to be boots on the ground at any events, competing, spectating, working, whatever it may be. We will definitely get you on. And finally, La Roche Original has commented.
Does that mean one of the two people watching was actually Sam?
Yeah, I'm watching as well. All right. And on that note, goodbye, everybody.
Thank you, everyone.
Bless you all.